Hey guys, okay, so I've been asked about this several times and I keep promising I'm going to make a video about this and other things, and I always run out of time, so I was like, I'm just going to do it. I wanted to be more organized about it, but then I decided I'm just going to chat about it because this isn't like a method or something, this is just our way. So, this video is going to be about our bedtime routine with 3 children, 5, 3, and 1-year-old. How we do that, how we get them all sleeping. First, you're gonna need a little bit of magic, and I'm kidding. Okay, so first I should just say that we have been really lucky that we've always had pretty good sleepers. Knock on some wood right there. But we just have, I don't know if it's something magical we're doing, we've just been lucky. It's just how it's turned out, so I'm grateful for that. I'm not going to get into like the transition stories from crib to whatever. That can be another video if anyone is interested in how we transitioned each of the 3 children from basically being with me and nursing at night into their own cribs. So that's a whole other story. Okay, so then, you know, all that being said, Kyle kind of handles bedtime mostly, and this is because he doesn't really get home till closer to 7. By the time we do dinner, he doesn't have much time left with the kids. And so what he's kind of taken over bedtime. It's become like his special time with the kids, and it works for a couple of reasons. One, like again, mainly it's his time with the kids. You know, Kyle always says like, why have kids if you're not going to spend time with them? So like that's his time with the kids, and it's fun. And then and not that like I'm not welcome, like I've been there too, but you know what I'm saying. It's just like he's kind of taking that over. And then the baby, usually I handle her for bedtime, but more recently she's gotten older, like Kyle started to incorporate her more into like the older kid activities. So what we do is we have dinner. After dinner we have the kids get into their pajamas, you know, we get them all pajama ready. We don't usually do baths at night, and I know most people do. We don't, because again it takes away time that Kyle has with the kids to spend time with them. So I usually, unless if they played outside right before dinner or right after dinner or something like that, then they go ahead. I have to give them a bath. I mean, I can't let them go to bed like that. But most of the time, if I give them a bath kind of in the day, and so that's just how we do it. And I handle it. Kyle doesn't really like doing baths anyway, so like I just handle it. Get into their pajamas, and then they go and play. And with our kids, usually we'll do an activity that's a little more low-key, but our kids are pretty cool about like they could do something that made them more like active, and it doesn't affect their bedtime. It's not like they're gonna stay up because they were so like, you know, they're doing some crazy game or something. They're just, it doesn't really affect, I know it does affect some kids, like if you can't get them kind of hyped up, but our kids, they're fine. Kyle usually does that. We play games. Sometimes I'm with them upstairs, sometimes he plays with them by himself. Sometimes I'm down here cleaning or upstairs cleaning, or sometimes I start working. And then, like I said, sometimes I'm with them because we're doing family stuff. And so all that being said, then at that point, we move them to the bedrooms. They go potty, they brush and floss their teeth, and they go to bed. They get into bed and they get stories. They pick out stories and they read stories. Kyle reads to them. Sometimes his bedtime story time is ridiculous. Like, this is going to sound wrong, but sometimes I get a little almost like irritated because I'm like, for real, if story time is going to take an hour, then bedtime has to start earlier, because they end up going to bed a lot later than I'd like them to, because he's reading to them for an hour. And you'd think like, why do you complain about that? But and I'm not really, like, I don't really care, but sometimes I'm like, when I know they need to get up for something in the morning, I'm like, Kyle, if you're going to read to them for 45 minutes an hour, start bedtime earlier. And he's just like, okay. So, and we usually try to incorporate, like, kind of under the table, so to speak, some learning into that time. Like, when Sophie was really first starting to read, she actually did a reading lesson with Kyle every night. And so, but now she's reading pretty well, so what he does now is it's more practice. She'll read some of the stories to them. And then Grayson, we work more on, you know, combination letters and, you know, what things start with, things like that, appropriate for a 3-year-old. And then the Audrey, it's just like getting her familiar with the ABCs in general and the sounds they make. So try to incorporate that a little bit. But yeah, mainly it's just fun story time, and so it's good. And the kids love it. And Audrey, you know, she more recently will sit for longer periods of time, but she actually goes to bed later than the kids. So a lot of the time I end up taking care of her so she's not like bothering them while they're all trying to read. So after they're done with their story time, that's it. give me a hug and a kiss. I get a hug and a kiss from them every night. If I'm there, if I'm upstairs, if I'm doing laundry, if I'm doing something, I go to their bed and give them a hug and kiss. If I'm down here, Kyle sends them downstairs and they come and they're always like, Mom, I need a hug and a kiss. And so I love that. And then we just tuck them each into their bed. They each get a sippy cup of water, and that's it, y'all. It's nothing special. We leave. Sophie likes her door open. Grayson likes his shut. Grayson has a little nightlight, but he only uses it sometimes. It turns on and off. Sometimes he turns it on, sometimes he doesn't. Doesn't really seem to be bothered by the dark or anything. And Sophie isn't really. We usually shut her door during the night, and she doesn't complain. And that's it. And then the baby, and if the baby's really tired, she goes to bed right then. But sometimes she seems a little bit like not quite ready, so she'll stay up another half an hour or so. She'll play in the game room with Kyle or me or both. And then, you know, she wasn't into story reading as much. Like, we could barely read her one story and she'd be like done. But now she's like realized that reading's fun, and so she'll want us to read to her more. And we just, the same thing with her, you know, we put her to bed and we lay her down. We don't have to rock her to sleep or give her warm milk or a warm bath, or we don't have to do anything. She's really easygoing. We just lay her down and she has her blankie and she curls up with her blankie, and that's how she likes it. And she has a little music nightlight thing that we turn on, and she has a sound machine that has it's the sound of like rain. Although we do it, but honestly, like, there's been nights where we forget and it hasn't affected her. So I think we do it more out of habit than her needing it. But regardless, we do that. We put those on, and that's it. And sometimes, every once in a while, she'll fuss. She'll kind of complain. Like, we'll hear her in her crib, and she'll be like, "Hey." But most of the time, she sings songs a little and goes to sleep, or she goes straight to sleep. And usually, the only time she ever kind of grumps is during nap. Sometimes she'll be like, I'm not ready for bed. But she never really cries or anything. Like, it doesn't bother her. And so she just puts herself to sleep. And when she's ready for bed, if you're holding her, she will lean away and push away from you to get into her crib. Like, as soon as you walk, if you're like circling the room and you're just giving her cuddles or something, like when you walk right by the crib, she'll be like, eh. Like, she will like lunge for it. Like, when she wants to go to sleep, she wants you to lay her down and leave her alone. She wants to go to sleep. It's just her personality. So there we go, you guys. It's not that exciting. There's nothing magical we're doing. Our kids, like I said earlier, we were pretty blessed with that. I have to say though that you know, Grayson was more difficult. We had to walk him for a good half an hour every time he would wake up to put him to sleep when he was between that 8 to 10 month mark. That's when he kind of had stopped nursing at night. Like, he wouldn't, like, at night, like, I would wake up with him and he would latch on for 10 seconds and then pull off. Like, he was done night nursing. He wasn't even doing it for comfort anymore, and that's when we realized that we just had to get him to sleep in other ways. And so we would just take turns. We would take turns, and we would walk him. I remember walking him through the downstairs, and this was about 2 months that it took. And so I've heard people refer to this as the waited out method instead of the cried out method. We've never really done that. And I do have to say, our kids are really good sleepers, so I guess, you know, we're doing something okay, I guess. So we just wait it out. We just get through it. We just know it won't last forever. So if you're having trouble with your kid going to sleep, they're giving you grief and you don't know what to do, just keep going. You can try new things, try the same things that work, even if it's hard on you. I know, because I've been there with Grayson especially. He was kind of the hardest to get into a good sleep place. But once he did, man, Grayson, like, I guess our patience just went out. We would just I mean, it wasn't fun walking him around for half an hour at 2 in the morning, and then as soon as you laid him down, if he woke up, you'd have to do it all over again. But we did it. We hung in there, y'all. And then at right around 10 to 11 months, he was turned into the best sleeper ever. It was just like he realized that it was nice to go to sleep. He realized his bed was comfy. He realized he was happy. He liked his blankie, he liked his nightlight, and we could lay him down in his crib and he would just smile and curl over and go to sleep so happy. And it just took time and patience, honestly. And yeah, Sophie was a lot easier. Sophie has been a great independent sleeper since she was an infant, honestly. And then Audrey's always been pretty good too. She did stay in bed with me longer, but that's because she was genuinely eating. Like, Like, it wasn't like how Grayson got, you know, she was still nursing for a long time. So I kind of reluctantly, like, I moved her out of the bed because it was hard on me, and I kept waking her up on accident. So we kind of transitioned her, but I still had to go up there and feed her at night for a while, and then she just kind of stopped. Like, she didn't, like, sometimes I would try to nurse her, and really she didn't even want anyone to nurse her. It's almost like she just needed someone to give her a hug for a minute, and I'd lay her back down and she would go to sleep on her own. Like, I could lay her down before she was even asleep, so she wasn't that hard. Grayson was our hardest, and again, it was during the middle of it, and this is what I can get, the advice I can give you. When you're in the thick of it, while you're living it, it feels horrible, it feels exhausting, it feels tiring, it feels like it'll never end. But when it does end, you'll usually look back and be like, that wasn't fun, but it wasn't the end of the world. Like, you know, that's how it felt with all of them in some way or the other. You know, you look back and you're like, okay, yeah, it wasn't fun. I didn't love walking Grayson around for half an hour, multiple times a night. But doing that, like, we just did it in this really loving way. We, like I said, we just took turns, tag teamed it, and then we ended up, from us doing that for him, made him, I guess, just made him have this really safe, comforting thought about bed. And he turned, like I said, he turned into just the best sleeper in the world. He still is, and so is Sophia, and Audrey's on the same path. Audrey still sometimes gets up early in the morning, and usually at that point she just wants some milk or water even, and she'll usually go right back to sleep, and then otherwise she'll just sleep in until she wakes up in the morning. Like, they don't really get up during the night unless something weird's going on, like teething or someone's sick. So there we go, you guys. That's our bedtime routine, and I know I've had people ask for tips. I just don't really have any tips because I feel like every child's different and every parent's different, and some things that worked for me might absolutely not work for you, and vice versa. And, you know, I don't want to say one way is better than another because I just don't think that's true. I just don't. Like, there's absolutely no finite way. Like, Sophia absolutely would not sleep in the bed with us. Like, it didn't matter. Like, she was happy or by herself, like, next to me. Whereas, you know, Grayson was way more cuddly. And, you know, and then Audrey was kind of in between. And, you know, they're just different. And so the best tip I can give you is to remind yourself that no matter how bad it is or it feels or how hard it is, it will not last forever. Just hang in there. Like, you. Forget the kid for a second. You hang in there. Keep trucking, and it will get better. I promise. Even if it takes, Lord forbid, if it takes a year or two. Like, I know that sounds horrible, but it will get better. It's exhausting sometimes, and it's hard sometimes, but yeah. And our only method was we waited it out. We just waited. We just waited for the kid to be ready to go to sleep on their own, where they had kind of developed their own, like, sense of security and comfort about bedtime that didn't have to involve us doing something special. And then that, once they reached that point, and we tried to just make that happen in the most loving, comforting way. If it took walking them for half an hour, if it took feeding them at 3 in the morning, nursing them, you know, it didn't matter. We did it. We did it. We've done it with all three of them, and we have 3 awesome sleepers to show for it. So there you go. That's it. Hang in there if you're having trouble. I know, like I said, on our daily vlogs, I do get periodically asked for tips about people who are like, how are you getting your kids to sleep? And again, you know, and sometimes I guarantee you are doing things right. Sometimes even it just takes time. That's it. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Just hang in there. All right, you guys? Okay, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. If you have any more requests for these type of videos, I don't do these as much anymore, and the reason why is because I usually talk about this stuff while I'm filming my daily vlogs, and I forget that sometimes it would be nice to discuss it with y'all just in a normal sit-down vlog too. So it's not that I don't like doing these videos, I don't think about it. So feel free to ask me, I never care. Ask me away. And sorry it took me so long to get this up to those of you who had asked, but I finally did. Alright, you guys, thank you for watching, and I will talk to everybody next time.